The Wolf and the Crane. One day, a wolf was happily eating a deer he had just killed, when suddenly a small bone got stuck in his throat. The poor wolf tried to swallow, but the bone was stuck tight, and it hurt so much. The wolf ran around, groaning and groaning, looking for someone to help him. He was in so much pain. Finally, the wolf met a crane. "Please help me," he begged. "I would do anything if you could get this bone out of my throat." The crane thought for a moment, then agreed to help. "I'll try," said the crane. "Just lie down and open your mouth as wide as you can." So the wolf lay down, opened his mouth as wide as possible, and the crane carefully stuck his long neck inside. The crane used his sharp beak to loosen the bone, and with a little work, he finally got it out. The wolf felt so much better and was very thankful, or so the crane thought. "Now, will you give me the reward you promised?" asked the crane. The wolf grinned and showed his sharp teeth. "Reward?" he said. "What more do you want? You got your head in my mouth and took it out again safely. That should be enough of a reward for you." And with that, the wolf walked away, leaving the crane angry and disappointed. Moral: gratitude and greed do not go together. The Lion and the Mouse. One day, a mighty lion was sleeping peacefully in the forest, his big head resting on his paws. Just then, a tiny mouse ran across his nose by accident. Swoosh! The lion's eyes flew open, and he caught the little mouse under his huge paw. "How dare you wake me up?" the lion growled. "I should eat you." The frightened mouse squeaked. "Please, mighty lion, let me go, and one day I promise I will help you." The lion laughed. "You help me? That's funny." But he was feeling kind, so he lifted his paw and let the mouse go. A few days later, the lion was walking through the forest when, snap, he stepped into a hunter's trap. A giant net fell over him, and no matter how hard he roared and struggled, he couldn't escape. The little mouse heard his loud roars and ran to help. "Don't worry, lion, I'll save you." With her tiny, sharp teeth, she gnawed and gnawed at the ropes. Snip! Snap! The net broke, and the lion was free. "You see, it's a mighty lion," said the mouse with a smile. "Even a tiny friend can help a big one." Moral of the story: no act of kindness is ever wasted. The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Once upon a time, a young shepherd boy took care of his master's sheep near a dark forest. His job was important, but he often felt bored. To pass the time, he would talk to his dog or play a tune on his shepherd's flute. But soon, even that wasn't fun anymore. Then, he got a sneaky idea. "My master said if a wolf comes, I should call for help, and the villagers will come running," he thought. "What if I trick them for fun?" So he ran toward the village shouting, "Wolf! Wolf! Help! A wolf is attacking the sheep." The villagers dropped everything and ran as fast as they could to help. But when they got there, they saw the boy laughing. "Ha ha ha ha! I tricked you," he giggled. The villagers were not happy. "Don't lie about danger," they warned, and went back to work. A few days later, the boy felt bored again. He laughed and thought, "That was fun. I'll do it again." So he ran and shouted, "Wolf! Wolf!" again. The kind villagers rushed to help, but there was no wolf. The boy just laughed and laughed. "This is the last time we believe him," the villagers grumbled as they walked away. Then, one evening, just as the sun was setting, a real wolf came. It jumped out of the forest and attacked the sheep. The boy was terrified. He ran toward the village, screaming, "Wolf! Wolf! Please help! It's real this time." But the villagers didn't believe him. "He is just tricking us again," they said, shaking their heads. So no one came to help. The wolf took many of the boy's sheep and disappeared into the forest. The boy sat down and cried. "I should never have lied," he said sadly. Moral of the story: if you lie too many times, people won't believe you, even when you're telling the truth.
The stubborn donkey. One day, a donkey and his kind-hearted farmer were making their way down a steep mountain path after a long day in the fields. The donkey was tired and hungry, and all he could think about was his warm, cozy stable at the bottom of the mountain. As he trudged along, he glanced down and saw his home far below. His hay-filled stall, his water bucket, and the soft pile of straw where he loved to rest all looked so inviting. But the winding path down the mountain seemed too slow for the impatient donkey. "I know a faster way," he thought excitedly. Instead of following the safe path, he decided he would take a shortcut, straight down the cliffside. Just as he was about to leap, the farmer grabbed his harness and pulled him back. "Whoa there, my friend," he said, stroking the donkey's head gently. "That's not the way home. That's the way to disaster. You'll get hurt if you go that way." But the donkey was stubborn. "Let me go. I know best. I want to get home now," he brayed, digging his hooves into the ground and pulling with all his might. The farmer sighed, shaking his head. "If you don't want to listen, there's nothing I can do." With that, he let go. The moment the donkey stepped forward, his hooves slipped on the rocky edge. Whoosh! Down he tumbled, rolling head over heels, kicking up dust as he bounced down the steep slope. By the time he reached the bottom, he was covered in scratches and bruises, with bits of grass sticking out of his ears. The farmer made his way down the safe path and found the poor donkey lying in a heap, groaning. "Oh dear," the farmer said, shaking his head. "I tried to warn you, but you were too stubborn to listen." The donkey let out a weak bray and sighed. "Maybe next time. I'll listen." Moral of the story: stubbornness can lead to trouble. Always listen to those who care for you and have more wisdom.
The Town Mouse and the Country Mouse. One day, a town mouse went to visit her cousin, the country mouse. The country mouse welcomed her warmly and served a meal of wheat, roots, and acorns with cool water to drink. But the town mouse nibbled only a little, turning up her nose at the simple food. "My dear cousin," she said, "you eat such plain food. In the city, I dine on the finest treats, cakes, cheeses, and sweet jellies. You must come with me and see what real luxury is like." That night, the country mouse dreamed of the grand city life her cousin had described. Excited, she agreed to visit the city the next day. When they arrived at the grand house where the town mouse lived, the country mouse's eyes widened. On the dining table were delicious leftovers from a grand feast: cheese, cakes, pastries, and jellies, more food than she had ever seen. She was just about to take a bite when, meow! A cat's loud meow sent both mice scurrying under the furniture. They hid, their little hearts pounding. After what felt like forever, they tiptoed back to the table, only for the door to burst open. Servants came in to clear the food, and a big house dog trotted in behind them. The country mouse grabbed her little bag and said, "Cousin, your city life may have fancy food, but I'd rather have my simple meals in peace than live in fear every day." And with that, she hurried home to the countryside, happy to be safe. Moral of the story: a simple life with safety is better than a rich life filled with danger. Belling the cat. Once upon a time, the mice had a big meeting. They were tired of living in fear of the cat, who always hunted them. The mice wanted to find a way to know when the cat was coming, so they could run away and stay safe. They didn't want to live in fear anymore. The mice thought and thought. Many ideas were shared, but none seemed good enough. Then a young mouse stood up and said, "I have a plan. It's very simple, but I know it will work. We can hang a bell around the cat's neck. When we hear the bell ring, we will know the cat is coming and have time to run away." All the mice were amazed. They thought it was such a great idea. They couldn't believe they hadn't thought of it before. But then an old mouse stood up and said, "The young mouse has a great idea, but I have one question. Who is going to put the bell on the cat?" The room fell silent. All the mice realized that, while the plan sounded good, No one was brave enough to get close to the dangerous cat. Moral of the story: it's easy to talk about what should be done, but actually doing it is much harder. The eagle and the jackdaw. One day, an eagle with strong wings swooped down and grabbed a lamb with her sharp talons. She flew off proudly to her nest, carrying the lamb away. A jackdaw saw this and thought, I can do that. I'm just as strong as the eagle. So, with a lot of noise and flapping, he flew down and tried to grab the back of a big ram. But when he tried to fly away, he found his claws stuck in the thick wool of the ram. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't lift the ram. In fact, the ram didn't even notice the jackdaw was there. The shepherd saw what happened and knew exactly what the jackdaw had tried to do. He quickly caught the bird, clipped its wings, and took it home. That night, the shepherd's children laughed and said, "What a funny bird this is! What do we call it, Father?" The shepherd smiled and said, "That is a jackdaw, my children. But if you asked him, he would say he is an eagle." Moral of the story: don't let your pride make you think you're stronger than you really are.
The Grateful Tree. On a hot summer day, two travelers were walking under the scorching sun. Tired and sweaty, they found a big, shady tree and sat under it to rest. As they lay back, enjoying the cool shade, one of them looked up and said, "This tree is so useless. It doesn't give any fruit, and its leaves just make a mess on the ground." Suddenly, the tree spoke. "How ungrateful you are," it said. "I am giving you shade to rest, and yet you call me useless?" People often don't appreciate the best gifts they have. Moral: we should be grateful for the little things that make our lives better.
The Kid and the Wolf. One day, a playful young kid was left on top of a sheep shelter to stay safe. The kid was munching on some grass near the edge of the roof when he spotted a big, scary wolf walking below. Feeling brave, the kid started making faces at the wolf and teasing him, saying all sorts of mean things. He laughed and shouted, "Hey, wolf! You're so slow and silly." The wolf looked up and calmly said, "I hear you, kid, but I don't mind what you're saying. When you're up there on the roof, it's the roof that's talking, not you." Moral of the story: always be careful with your words. Don't say things you wouldn't want to say all the time.